What's up, WWE Champions Universe? Welcome to Champions Chat, the fastest growing podcast dedicated to the WWE Champions mobile game. I'm the Christmas sweater version of Cody Rhodes, Rusty Graves, and with me, as always, everybody's favorite coach, Santa Hogan, Lee Brown. What's up, Lee?
What you gonna do, brother, when Christmas mania runs wild on you?
One reason we didn't see Hogan in the WWE for a couple of years is because he got in trouble for the ho ho ho's. So
Whoa! Whoa! Watch it. There's actually other things too, but anyway,
yeah, I think he himself was being a little too, yeah.
down the chimney.
So Lee, this is December. This potentially could be our last episode of 2024. I mean, maybe we'll
Maybe.
sneak
Let's
another
see what
in.
next week works, but
Yeah, but this time of year, two things are on everyone's mind. Number
okay.
one, what
Hose.
they're gonna get for Christmas. So that's always like the first thing that's hot on everybody's mind. So I thought in our show notes today we could talk about the 12 J's of Christmas. We could talk
Okay.
about what we hope are still coming in part of this month. But the second thing, I don't know if you've noticed this in the mainstream media, especially, is like the day after Christmas, the year in review shows start airing.
Oh yeah.
The everyone's favorite or the top things of 2024. So I thought we could have a little fun today with your, and this idea you came up with, even though I thought we'd have a little fun with, is the best of 2024, kind of a year
Ooh.
in review. So what do we hope to
Okay.
get for Christmas? What are we grateful for this year, both maybe in the game and outside of the game? I
Nice.
would be failed to not. I would. It would be a failure on my part if I did not mention you look very handsome today in your suit. For those of you listening on audio, Lee is wearing a three-piece tuxedo with a top
What?
hat, and it's
No.
very, very formal. He's basically
What?
the Monopoly man.
What? Yeah, the monocle really sells it too. That's the.
That and the handlebar mustache. You're like a villain
Oh,
from the vaudeville era.
nice.
None,
Vaudevillains in here.
none of that's true. Our audio listeners would be like, "What is he? What is happening?"
I mean, I am wearing a suit, but not that kind. I've got a memorial service to go to after this, so
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
not
I
to
always
bring the
tell. I
tone
mean,
down.
in my line of work, I always tell people if I'm wearing a suit, it's either the best day of your life or the worst day of your life.
Right?
So,
That's a good
you
one.
know, yeah.
That's a good one.
Okay, Lee, 12 J's of Christmas, and we are. Is it called the 12 J's of Christmas? We are around. I don't know, day. What is it? 6, 7, somewhere around the midpoint, or
Something like
maybe
that.
I think it says there's 5 days left. So whatever that is,
Yeah. It
seven
ends
minus
like the
5.
day after Christmas, basically.
Lee, what has excited you about this contest? What has felt like a real Christmas miracle to you? Has there been anything that you've just been on fire for in this contest?
You know, I've really liked Jey Uso, the character. I like, the fact that he has all of the different things you can do with plates, that you could get gear next
Right?
week, maybe, all sorts of things. But he is uber rare. The structure of this contest that's going on is functionally the same as the Shredder contest.
Mm,
And the Shredder contest was high spend, but almost everyone was guaranteed Shredder. So it was like
mhm.
getting the good stuff for him. If you spent a lot, this one around, man, Jay is really high. I mean, I've done at least pulls every single day of the contest, if not a mega, and I haven't gotten a single like fuse or good thing out of the loot. I don't think, maybe a fuse, but
Loot's
nothing
been
new, nothing.
Yeah,
It's
the
been
loot's been not been
rough.
good. The loot has not
Yeah.
been good. I I was very enamored by this contest, and I still am to a degree. And also having Abby in the loot feels like a great consolation prize.
Right.
However,
But
I have had a similar experience where the pulls I have done nary a fuse. I've gotten some
Nary.
like not even, right?
Well, I understand
Never.
what it means. I just like
Oh,
I. It's been a long time since I've heard someone say nary.
well, it's the time of year where people start talking like Charles Dickens and watching,
Oh,
It's a Wonderful Life. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
So,
Christmas, one and all. Gotcha.
um, Lee, okay, so here's my thoughts. Like, there's a lot of shards for Jay in the milestones. There's like if you're going for it, it's like even to the tune of like there's more shards in the milestones than are in the loot has been my takeaway. Like I'm
Yeah.
like you may get 50 J shards from a mega, but if you hit that next milestone, you get like
100.
1 or 200,
Right.
and so it's like, oh, okay. So I don't totally know how to process it yet, especially with 5 days left. I'm not able to spend what would be required to max
Right.
rate. It's basically a mega a day for 12 days. In whatever country you live in, whatever the price of a mega is there. So do that times 12, and that's what it would take to max the leaderboard contest. I'm just not anywhere near being able to do that.
Right.
But I'm starting to accumulate some of like a significant amount of the stockings um, from the faction contests, the blitzes. So the stocking stuffer prizes, I've got a decent amount there, and I've got I'm about a third of the way to J
Okay.
in based on what the present costs are.
Gotcha.
I don't foresee myself getting the other 2/3 up the ladder to get J,
Wow.
which is fine. But I'm a little I'm a little unimpressed by the consolation prizes on the J prize wall. I don't
Right.
know if that's your take or not, but like I don't I've got 17K Santa, but I'm nowhere near what it would take to get the 31K Santa.
Right.
So those Santa tokens don't entice me because I can't get there to the next
Right.
credible milestone for him. I don't necessarily need any of these posters. Um, they've all been fairly accessible through
So
other
I feel like
contests and
Jade or I mean
shards.
there's a couple in there, but
But like their shards have been on the wall. Like I shard recruited Jade, right? Like I
eh,
kept grabbing her shards off prize walls throughout the year. And
gotcha.
then, I mean, the plates are not, there's no moments, there's no gear, and there's not a plate. Like if the Judgment Day plate was on that wall, I would be losing my gob and think, finally, yes, right? Or Charlotte gear, right? Or the American made moment. Like some of the things this year that
Right.
have got me really, really excited, but also that I just missed out on. Some of the
Right.
best of the year that I didn't get would have been a fabulous consolation prize for that wall. You have any thoughts on the contest itself or the wall? You don't have to make disparaging remarks, but I mean, I think they could have done a little better with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so the Santa Hogan tokens, that's where, like, we're going to talk about best of, so we're going to get a little bit more happier here in a moment.
Yeah, yeah.
But in terms of worst of, I mean, Santa Hogan, I made some suggestions that, I was take it or leave it, and it got left. So reality is Santa Hogan is not a good thing for the community overall. I mean, the
Oh,
tokens specifically, like if Santa Hogan, like if every July and December, because they do Riptmas in July and all that kind of stuff, if every July and December, majority of the community could take Santa Hogan up one level, so that you go 6-star, or I'm sorry, from like 5-star bronze to 5-star silver to 5-star gold, then eventually you'd go, okay, this is going to work out, this is great. But the reality, like you said, I've got 18K Santa, so I've got him with his next trainer ability up, but it's several thousand to get to the next level from there. And the reality is, it's just too much. Like, even though I could take a few thousand, 2 or 3 thousand off the J prize wall if I don't get J, or if I don't get enough to get J, um, that doesn't feel like it's worth spending 15,000 of that prize wall currency to get to, especially if I only get him to 5-star gold, and then your big thing, your next big thing is 6 silver. It's just not worth it. I mean, Santa Hogan,
Right.
I love the concept, but they're way too stingy, way too stingy with his evos and tokens. So that's good. Not good. But in terms of the rest of it, I mean, there's a lot of TP. There's these new 150% gem damage straps on there. There's some decent stuff. But I think what you're saying, I mean, if you got a good 150% strap, you'd be super happy. But it's RNG, right?
True.
But the
True.
consolation prize, if it's just coin and TP, doesn't feel good. It feels like, whatever. So yeah, there should be some things on there that maybe get you excited. Maybe if even it's like R-Truth's gear, and like all the freebie
Yeah.
characters gear that maybe
How
you didn't
about
get, or
the Immortal Hulkster gear would have
that's
been
the
a
one thing I want.
huge
The one
fun.
thing.
Now, especially right after his rework, that would have been a low hanging fruit that drove excitement
Right.
about that event for me, because I don't have it. It's been very rare and it's Christmas themed.
Right.
I'm guessing there's going
Next
to be a
week.
sweater loot or a gear loot. Yeah, next week.
That's my guess too.
But it's hard to keep up with the demand of the loot. Can
Right.
we put good items in other areas besides just the loot? Um, if you want to put it in the loot, great. Put it in the prize walls as well. Put it in the because I think what I'm learning about this game is, for me to feel satisfied, I want two things. I want the power of choice, and then I want my choices to be rewarded. Those are
Yeah.
the two things that make a great reward system. I want to be able to choose. So that's why I would say, like, I'm a little down on this J prize wall, because I feel like the choice is being made for me, where I
Hmm.
won't get J, and I don't. I, the Miz, I've got it gold.
Right.
May Young, do I want to use the majority of my currency to fuse her to gold?
Right.
Ramblin' Rabbit doesn't need to go gold to still do massive damage. Carrying Cross
It's
doesn't
terrible.
need to be gold. Rizar,
Yeah.
I mean,
He's all right.
like Sonya. I mean,
She's
that's
all
what I'm
right.
saying. Like Brett, like these are just
Brett's
like
terrible.
the probably the Bubba Ray and the Maxine are the
Ooh.
more exciting posters. But like,
Absolutely.
um, I feel like Maxine was really hard to get for a lot of the community.
And she's so good.
But then you've got like the Rabbit plate, not even the Buzzard plate, not even the one that was the most exciting of the plate offerings. But you have the Rabbit plate, which the Rabbit doesn't need. I'm
Right.
not sure who needs it. Will of Cargill,
It's not
great plate, fairly accessible throughout the year.
I have
Final boss
one.
plate.
I'd like multiple of those.
Um, well, same. Final boss plate, great plate, but limited. It's going to probably hang on Shredder or Final
Right.
Boss Rock or Naomi if you run her botch build.
Right.
I didn't think this was going to be a prize wall breakdown, but yeah, the
It's become
random
one.
high gem damage strap is probably the best thing for people that have engaged in the game all year long and played fairly competitively. The gem damage strap is probably the get.
Yeah.
That is kind of a bummer that you get one. And looking at the currency, I could, if I went hard after this contest, I could get two.
Right.
But that's it. And that's it. That's 12 Days of Christmas, two damage straps. And what if they're PG era acro? What if they work on Shane
Again.
O'Mac, right?
Right.
Which our buddy Zachary got. You know, he's got like the worst straps.
Oof.
There are others in the community. I don't want to name names, but I saw the screenshots of like, great. This strap is terrible. I think you got bad ones, didn't you?
Well, I
You
got
got
some good
bummer
ones, but
straps.
I definitely got. I mean, PGA era Acro. I've got like two of the 150% straps, and I don't need one, But I'm not going to scrap them just in case they introduce a PG era Acrobat randomly into the game again. That's top tier, but
Yeah.
for now,
So, but
eh.
here's my feedback. I think it would rest at this. I love this contest format. I
Yes,
just would like a little bit more juice in the prize wall. I would like,
agreed.
because people are going hard after this. People are
Oh my gosh, yes,
spending, and I feel like when I look at that prize
yeah,
wall, I go, "What's the consolation prize for those not getting J?
right,
You get a couple of straps
yeah.
for all that you invested." Ooh.
Yikes. Yeah,
So
a good example. I did my go hard day. I tried to plan it to where like it was going to be a lower spend by the rest of the community. I did
yeah.
two megas in one day plus like a $20 pull or no, like a $5 pull or something like that. But either way, like
And you just had a
eh,
birthday. For those of you out there
right.
judging, Lee just
Well,
he went to the middle of the table with his
yeah.
birthday
Eh,
gifts. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah, I did get a little bit of birthday money actually with that. That's what I used to buy that. But that being
people are so
said,
weird
I
and
thought,
judgy when we talk about money. They clam up. They're like,
how dare you spend that money? Yeah.
we could have used
Anyway,
that money to serve the poor. We could have, there's a
thank you,
million.
Judas.
I know exactly. That's why I quote. Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
For those that get
Right.
that reference, that was.
Yeah. But all that to say, I did it to where I was thinking I was going to get about at least 3 million of the J points for the top of the tree contest.
Yeah.
And end of it, I got 1 million. Like I got pushed down into the 500 bracket, only got 1 million points, which is what you would get for a single mega, give or take, on these. So, it was one of those like, ooh, that felt bad, that felt rough that I went hard that day and then didn't get the reward I wanted. Plus, I still haven't gotten J. And the loot, in particular, I've said it each time I've made the videos with the loot polls, and I did a few, and I don't know if I'll post them because literally there was nothing. But whenever you do a paid poll and most of your polls are free tier characters,
Oh
that
yeah.
hurts. Like every time Batista and Pig
Right.
Boy and Kyrie and
I did get
whoever
a.
else showed up,
I got a
I
star
was
fill for Pig Boy. That was my big hit.
oh,
One of my favorites. I got
wow.
the 5 bronze with the 5th star fill. That was the
Yeah.
feels
But all that to say, like I love the format. The Shredder event was one of my absolute
Yeah, it's a
favorites.
great format.
And
It's a
Jay copied it. It's just the difference of Shredder was available to the community. Most got him, and then if you wanted to take him up with the special things, that's what you spent for. That's what they needed to repeat. So constructive criticisms. We always tell people on the end of our WCWs, hey, do a compliment sandwich. Like I love the format of the Jay/Shredder event. I enjoyed playing it quite a lot. However, with the J event, the rewards just were not there. So here's what I would do differently: better prize wall, no free tier characters or very few free tier characters in the loot. I mean, even if it's like I got a bunch of Anvil, I got a bunch of Bradshaw Striker, at least they were like, oh, those were once rare, powerful characters. So, it just felt different when Pig Boy hit every time, or when Batista Bomb, like I do need his shards, by the way, but every time Batista Bomb hit, I was like, really? He was free. Like I can take him up on my own. Stop giving me that one. So that would be my compliment sandwich. Is I love the format of the event, but I want to see better. I want to see it more like the Shredder event. I would have loved Jay to be free, like Shredder was, and then the
Yeah.
Yeet plate and his gear be the things we paid for. That would have
I've
been
loved
best.
I've loved the daily tours. I've loved the
Yeah,
daily pieces. I've
I do
love the
too.
blitz counts towards the faction
Yeah,
event. I love that our faction our faction is very
very
engaged.
engaged.
Even beyond the chasing of Jay for the spin. The
Right,
the 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 event has been very engaging on it, just a gameplay level, which has
right.
been great. So here's our if you're out there from Team Scopely and listening, we love the event, we love the format. We
Just bend the
love the
rules.
experience has been quite fun. The reward has just felt a little watered down, a little thin.
Yeah,
Like it just has not
agree.
been rewarding. Um, and I think we could do better with that. And overall, I would give 12 J's of Christmas probably a B minus,
Yeah,
probably a B minus. I don't want to
I
say C
agree.
plus. That feels too low. That feels unfair. But I think
Right,
a B, a solid. It's been a solid experience.
right.
It just has not been. My stocking has not been quite as full as I hoped it would have been
Aw, you're so
for
stocking half
the
empty.
for the level of engagement that's required with this.
Agreed.
I don't mind getting thin rewards if it's thin level of engagement, but this is like an all encompassing. There's a grind element, there's a CSS element, there's a spend element. This is a high level of engagement event, so it should have a high level of reward
Yeah.
commensurate. So,
Well, and we don't know what next week. I mean, obviously, there's still a week ish or half a week left into next week. This ends the
fair point.
day after Christmas, and so maybe the Christmas event will bump everybody, and we all go, "Oh my gosh, look how great that was! It was saved." But
Mm,
constructive criticism again. The way that it's designed, this first week is draining everyone. And so, if next week isn't very accessible, like if there's a bunch of good stuff, but you have to spend, I tap myself out, and that maybe that's my own fault. But again, like the daily delivery is designed so you spend every single day.
yeah.
So I'm hoping next week changes my. I hope it changes it from a B minus, which is fair. I'd be in that B minus C plus area, to an A. I hope. I hope. I
Well,
hope.
see, and I'm with you. I totally agree with that, Lee. However, here's the one however.
Oh,
However, that prize wall isn't changing.
right.
Prize wall isn't changing. So they're
But
not
there's a
going
candy
to
cane
add.
prize wall. There's a second prize
Oh,
wall.
oh, well, but is the current? Yeah, it'll be a new. See,
Yeah.
that's right. It'll be a different level of currency. It'll be a different currency.
It'll be the spend currency, what you get from this week's event. But again,
Okay.
like the number of candy canes I'm going to get for as far as I am in the contest seems really low. So unless the candy cane prize wall is super inexpensive on candy cane
Right.
requirements, I'm
Right.
in trouble and I've spent
I
a
would
lot.
like to. I if there was a second prize wall that arose, and I could use the presence currency on it.
Yeah, you
See,
can't.
that's where I know it's a different currency though.
It's a
So that's
different
where I'm like,
currency.
but can I buy candy canes with the presents? Because
Maybe.
remember like the pizza prize wall. You could do that.
Right.
You could take the currency to buy pizza
Right.
in the turtle event. That would probably redeem it for me. That would probably
Wow.
go, okay,
Now we're seeing it.
now I'm able to party.
But that does bring up our final point on this topic is don't spend your prize wall
Don't
currency
touch it.
until the end.
Don't
Don't
touch it.
spend it. You don't know what you're going to get. Don't do
Right.
it.
Right.
Yep.
All right, Lee. Well, we've had a fun year in WWE Champions. I think this has been there has been some very memorable month long contests. I would love
Yeah.
to know what was your favorite MLC in
Oh,
2024 and why? I know you weren't prepared
sure.
to answer that.
No,
So, what was
I'm
your
good with this
favorite
one.
MLC?
Okay, so I have two answers. One is if, and the other is my actual answer. So the if answer is if the TMNT event had been one MLC with Shredder as the second half of it and
Okay.
all combined, I think that would have been my favorite. The start of the TMNT event, as we remember, was not good, but the Shredder version, the second instance of it, was phenomenal. And so if that had been one MLC and Shredder was the big chase, I'd have been, very happy with that.
Okay.
But mini MLC, the Shredder event by itself was one of my favorites. But not counting that, then I would say my favorite month was the was it Summer of Champions? No, it was Retro Rewind. Retro Rewind, where we got one of the best, if the not the best female in the game to this day, still Rhea, for excuse me,
Oh, bless you.
for
Bless you.
almost free. I mean, she was grinded with, like, she was very accessible, and she is still top of the top of the top for most people's
Was
rosters.
Retro Rewind the seventh anniversary
Yeah, it's
month
February.
where everything was 80s
Yeah,
themed, kind of music themed?
yeah,
Just for those of
it
you
was
who
fun.
don't, as you think back on that MLC, friends, there was Showboat Kevin Owens was the freebie, and he was
Yep,
solid and fun.
it's all right. Yeah,
He was better than most showboats we had ever been offered for free. Certainly,
right.
there was also the remember like the surprise 9 p.m. Eastern superstar that would
Right.
drop in the
Plates.
tour.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you would have to 6 star, beat it at 6 star to get the plate. And then
Yep.
you would have to, and you would get that coin, and you would save up all the coins till the end of the contest to get one super lucky 6 star silver pull. And then
Right.
those of you like me ended up with Tech Drew at the end of that contest. And I was very,
Whoops. So
very anticlimactic moment for me.
whoops.
Yeah,
Yeah. But the
I did love
event
that
was super
month.
fun. Right. Yeah,
That
and
was
I
a
had
month.
actually forgotten about those surprise. I was thinking about the plates. I was thinking about Roman and Rhea, who I love both of those.
Yeah.
Shinsuke, who was really
Mhm.
good for a hot minute. But I wasn't thinking about the surprise drops, and those were really fun. Like, not knowing, like, even as content creators, if you remember, we were
Yeah.
on stream
Mhm.
and people started telling us there was a
Yeah.
surprise drop. Like, we didn't know in advance. We didn't have any.
They
It
would
was just like,
say
oh
it's
crap.
live in game and it's
Right.
Chain Gang Cena and he's
Yeah.
been reworked. And we're like, wow, what?
What?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
loved. Okay, so here's a part of that contest I wonder if you remember. Not only did the 7 surprise superstars get a fun rework, they also released, oh man, I want to say it was like a list of like 24 superstars that all got um,
Combo moves.
like fun new moves, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't there just a wave of reworks and remakes and upgrades, and they I feel like they went all out for that 7 day
I don't remember if that was right then or if that was Summer of Champions, but either way, yeah, when they released combo moves and then slowly added them to everybody,
Mm-hmm.
that was fun. I remember, if we're off on the month, we're off on the month. But I remember when they were talking about the combo moves, we did get a hint that there was like 30 new things coming to the game, and they wouldn't tell us what it was, like if it was characters, reworks,
Right.
modes, whatever. But we started thinking like 30, okay, that's the number of the Royal Rumble. And so we went down this rabbit hole of like how this Royal Rumble mode was going to work. And then it ended up being
Yeah.
combo moves. And I
Right.
mean, the combo moves have been super fun. Like, for example, I was
Yeah.
doing on my way to drop off, or right once I dropped off my daughter, but was waiting for her to get to the doors. I was doing a little bit of showdowning with my Uncle Howdy, and all three of his moves are combo moves. So functionally, he has 6 moves instead of the 3 that we were used to. And just the way they can implement those, it just added more variety without taking anything majorly away. So I loved the combo moves edition. That was great.
I have a totally different answer
Okay.
for
What was
my
yours?
favorite MLC of 2024. Hands down, far and away, the Bloodline month.
Oh,
The Bloodline month. The most engaging superstars were
yeah.
that month. The ones that I really loved and wanted to get and
Right.
chase, and my acro woes were finally solved. And
Right.
Jake, I would say, now I don't want to bleed into the next thing, but I think my
Oh,
favorite month also ties into my favorite superstar of
okay.
2024. But my acro woes were completely solved with
Wow.
the arrival of the Samoan werewolf, Jacob Fatu. And he
Same.
has been MVP of my roster. He took my roster to another level. He's the moment was fairly attainable. OTC Roman, not so much. And yet, I think I've seen him pulled at a much higher rate than I ever thought possible by the community.
Yeah.
The way OTC Roman was initially introduced was tough, right? It was basically a pay to play in the
Mm,
spin milestones, the shards, and so most people did one of two things. They either went really hard after those shards and fell short, and so now they're continuing to gather the shards, or they said, "Okay, the Champions Club, he's going to be the get
mm.
for the Champions Club." Also, and then you and I both, I think, accidentally pulled him when it was just like
Yeah.
I did a seven pull, a lucky seven, and got him, and not in his contest. So like a month or two later, I got
Right.
Roman from a seven, and I was mind blown that it
Yeah.
happened.
Well,
So
mine was accidental because I was going for something else, but it was a mega pull
yeah.
in the midst of a week of almost everyday. It was the shredder event, So there you
Oh
go.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's how that
Um,
happened. But
but the bloodline, I mean, the Tama plate came out that month and revolutionized Julius Creed, took him back to a level that we had
oh
seen
gosh,
him
yeah,
at his introduction.
yeah.
The
Wow, I forgot about that
the
already.
the gear Jacob's gear
Oof.
kept a lot of people engaged in chasing it, simply because they're like, okay, not only is he my best acro and will be for a long time, I can actually ensure his longevity in the
Right.
game by getting his gear and
Wow.
kind of having a little insurance that he'll be relevant for a long, long, long time.
Long time.
Um, Jacob is a boss battle all star
Right.
already, and versatile. And he
Yeah.
can spam purple or spam red. He has pyros. The Bite Man plate works on him. So I
Wow.
just feel like he's received a ton of support. He's received, as much support as an accessible. He's not even S plus tier, so he was very achievable, that month, and so it felt very, very rewarding.
Hmm.
Bloodline month was out of this world good, out of this
Yeah.
world good. It was so good that I don't even remember the distraction of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle 1 contest
I
during
was
it.
gonna ask. I was gonna ask because that was my big deterrent from the Bloodline month. Is
And
it
I
felt
just
like they should have put TMNT 1 as a 2 week mini right before or right after Bloodline and just let Bloodline have its own month. But
It was so good. Yeah, and I would just say I separate those two in my mind. I don't yeah. When I think of the Bloodline MLC, that was a standalone contest outside of the MLC that's how
TMNT.
good the month was. That even that TMNT contest did not thwart, all that was beautiful and fun and good about the Bloodline contest.
Right?
So,
Wow.
did you have a favorite? So I leaked out my favorite superstar of
Anal leakage.
2024. Best of 20, yeah, anal leakage. Best of 2024 for me was Jacob Fatu. Like far and away,
Wow.
most fun, most used, MVP on my roster. Love him, love him, love him. Do you have somebody like that? It's just
Ah. Well, I have two, but let me just while you were talking, I pulled up some things. Let's just mention some of the characters that have come out
Oh,
this
sure.
year or been reworked. Technically, both came
Nice.
out and got reworked in some cases. So I'm just literally going through some of the things I can see on this screen. But Uncle Howdy, obviously super rare, but like 400, 500, a billion damage. All of the TMNT. So Raphael was released, and we all couldn't stand him except for a few people who used BDC's special build. And then he got redone, and he's top of the mark. Seth Leonardo, Donatello, free tier character
Yeah.
that got reworked and was phenomenal in his second instance. You
Most
mentioned
people's best trickster, and he was
yeah.
and he was achievable, grindable, attainable.
Absolutely, and very well worth being most people's best trickster. Like, even if you've got some other really good tricksters, he's right up there. Werewolf Ozzy, Naomi Striker, Ilya Dragunov, Maxine Dupree is probably she's my favorite. If we ask
Okay.
female specifically, she was my absolute favorite female release this year. Period. Like, she is
Hmm.
so fun. She might be worth calling my favorite female or favorite overall character of the year. But I got two answers to give in a second. Cody Rhodes, the powerhouse version, Julius Magulius, Vader Time, Rhea Ripley was this year. Like, it feels like that was so long ago, but Rhea, the heavy metal Rhea, was this year. She's worth being a lot of people's favorite character this year. Abby the Witch. I mean, on and on and on. So my specific answer though is two part. So character that was released, Shredder. Shredder is by far my favorite character this year.
Wow.
Jacob
Wow.
Fatu is really close. I love and
And
what
Shredder was a
everything you
freebie,
said.
right? Shredder was
Yeah,
cookies on the bottom shelf. Everybody
for
got
most. Yeah,
Shredder, right? Yeah.
it was very grindable. Yeah, to get him at least 6 gold you had to pay, but that was a shortcut to get him there because you didn't have to use special tokens or anything to take him up. But yeah, Jake, everything you said about Jacob Fatu was 100% true for my roster as well. Oh, and people I didn't mention, Jay and Muda were both released this year as well. But since I didn't have Muda, and since I didn't have Long Beach Snoop and a few others, like, my Acro roster was terrible for a long time.
Same. Same.
Now it's like Jacob alone is worth that. But Shredder is the first. Like, if you know me, the reason why we have the 3-minute moveset videos is because I don't like characters that have multiple movesets that I have to switch between. I don't like swapping trainers. I don't like swapping plates. It's too much for my brain. So I like characters to have one thing and just use that thing. Like, Werewolf Ozzy is triple red, done. That's all I'm ever going to run him as, unless something crazy happens. Shredder though is the first character where literally I have a second strap set aside for Shredder just so I can run his multi build if I want to run that, or his defensive triple green build if I want to run that. And I have no qualms about saying I am excited to run either and both of those, which is weird for me because I mean, I cannot tell you how much I hate having to swap moves on characters. Like, there's just too many characters in the game for me to think
Right.
about all their different move sets. I want to set it and forget it. That's how I have fun. Shredder breaks that mold and breaks me from that. The other one I would say, and it's recency bias, but Hulk Hogan was my favorite character as a kid growing up.
Oh.
You know, his later life, yeah. But Legends era Hulk Hogan has
Yeah.
been
80s
like his
Hogan.
80s
80s Hogan.
Hogan, who doesn't look, who looks like Ruthless Aggression era Hogan, by the way. But
Clean as a whistle.
right, right. But he is the ultimate Voltron character in this game. Ultimate Megazord. Like, every time they release something new, it's like, oh, now Hogan's better again. And then he wanes a little bit. Now something new. Oh, Hogan's better again. So I don't have his gear. That is my biggest hope for this year, for this end of year. But that rework that they did on him, even if you don't have his gear. I mean, you were playing with it last night on stream. It's just insane. And so,
Yeah.
like, my powerhouses are a little boring. I don't like my powerhouse roster except for like Ray and Cody, maybe one or two others. But the reality is Hogan is my Jacob Fatu of the powerhouse division again now,
Okay.
and it's a rework. So I love that.
Okay. So let me add a few more categories here.
Okay,
I think that's allowable. You did say
you're
best
the
male.
host.
Best
Yeah.
male was Shredder
Right.
for you. Best female was Maxine for you. Right? Correct? And then best rework was, or best update was Immortal Hulk, right?
Ooh, that's tight though too, because those like Donatello is ooh so close. I
Okay.
mean,
All right.
but Hogan for me was far and away the choice, but for the community, I don't know. Donatello was right up there.
Well, how about this? We can call it best Voltron. The thing that
There you go.
continuously gets support in the game.
Right, right.
So your best Voltron and your best update was Donatello. Wow.
Best rework. I mean, he went
Yeah, best
from.
rework.
So here's the quick story on that. I got the 6-star gold prize wall version of Donatello literally from TMNT 1 to TMNT 2. Did not touch him. He was level 1 moves. I had no intention of building him, even though he was 6-star gold on my
Right.
roster. And the day that they did the rework, I moved him to the top character. I mean, I literally moved him to max level everything that day, and he became the
Yeah.
top character on my roster for a hot minute.
All right. All right. Let me
So
throw out a few
I want to
to
hear
try to
yours.
match. I want to match your freak here, right? As they say, as the kids
Ooh,
say on TikTok.
that's weird.
Um, I okay, I would say a close, and I thought about this as you were talking, a very close runner up for me, best MLC and best male. Very close second to Bloodline would be the Ozzy month and Ozzy
Okay.
himself.
Oh,
Favorite
absolutely. I totally
male,
forgot about
favorite
Ozzy.
MLC, Ozzy
Ozzy's
month
amazing.
was so fun, so stinking fun. It gave us this whole new contest of
Yep.
the collection contest superstar that you get fuses for free throughout the month through
Yeah.
grinding and playing and engagement. So I thought Ozzy broke the mold and gave us a
Yeah.
whole new
Absolutely.
format in the MLC. So Bloodline 1A and Jacob Fatu 1A, Ozzy 1B for me in a close,
Mm.
almost neck and neck as far as what I
Mm.
loved. Fun gameplay. I'm still chasing
Yeah.
Ozzy's gear. I want his
Yeah.
gear. I want to go wild with that Voltron, and I want to see continued support for him. My best female, my favorite female of 2024, Zombie.
Oh, yeah. I
I
didn't mention her either. Wow.
love Zombie
Wow.
Bailey.
Zombie.
I love her. If she wouldn't eat my brain, I would marry her. So,
Wow.
just kidding. So,
Sister Wives. What?
yeah, right. We've deserved. This game has deserved a top of meta Bailey. She has been the one omission from the four horsewomen that I just felt like does not get the continued support. Now, one of the horsewomen we don't mention anymore.
Right.
But like we've got infinite Beckys in the game,
Mhm.
and there's always a top of meta Becky.
And Charlotte.
Bailey and Charlotte. We've got infinite Charlottes, and there's always a top of meta Charlotte. Bailey has been kind of the like, like even in 2024, we had a Hug a Bailey CSS requirement. And I remember thinking, like,
Forgot about that.
this is so sad. This is so
Hilarious.
sad that she is a pillar of the women's roster and a locker room leader and an easily a first ballot Hall of Famer when her time is done. And yet she's been undersupported. And so Zom Bailey, the Bailey I've always wanted, the top of
Nice.
meta, the Bailey 2 belts. I mean, she was Bailey 4 belts at one point. Remember, she had every belt around her waist at the same time. So fun. I never have the like the fast feuding people how they're like two
Right.
click 80 million boom, right? Like I never have those people on my roster, and Bailey gave me that on my
Nice.
roster, so I love her.
Yeah,
I love her.
I don't disagree at all. In fact, the fact that I forgot about Ozzy and Zombie Bailey as I was going through things just says how stacked this year was. And in particular, if you talk about free to play, not Zombie Bailey, but Zombie Chelsea was really good for free to play. Batista was really good for free to play, and
Mhm.
then Ozzy and Donatello were like off the
Yes.
charts free to
Yeah.
play characters. So free to play, and Shredder. Oh my gosh, Shredder was free to play as well. So for
It's
if you're a free to play character, you have at least five like top like characters that we with our huge rosters
yeah.
feel like are better than a lot of our stuff we pay
I'm
for.
I'm actually, let me just say this to my friends out there that are free to play players. And you're my friends and I care about you
Yeah,
dearly and I advocate for you as often
regularly.
as I can. You no longer can plead the case that the game does not support free to play players when you
Right.
continue to get these top of meta superstars.
Kyrie.
So so
Yeah.
yeah, I just can't,
Rhea.
I just can't entertain that thought anymore.
Right.
This 2024 was so good for free to play players. You
Yep.
could totally have had a very fulfilling year.
Right.
Best rework for me, best rework, most fun rework, etc., etc. It's Tiffy time. I love what they did with Tiffy time, giving her a reversal move that steals multis
True.
was game changing for
Devious.
me. I and I have I don't remember how I got it, um if it was a lucky grab or what, but I ended up with a Tiffy plate as well. So for me, Tiffy might be my 2024 best rework and best Voltron because
Wow.
I've got the moment, I've got the yeah, the moment, the Tiffy time moment was what I think was my big Black Friday get. Blue gems, do 50% more damage for her. I receive 50% less damage from her from all colors, right?
Right.
And she is she is the quintessential defensive female. So like you can go into feud looking for those multi gem makers, and there are plentiful females that make multi gems. So you can
Yeah.
tee it up, you can let them make it, you can steal all those multis, then you can hit your purple moves, bam, 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 like 3 or 4 times to proc that plate 3 or 4 times, and then have an explosive finisher, the prettiest moonsault ever. So to me, Tiffy actually captures the lore of who she is. She's mischievous. She's conniving. She's going to manipulate her way to the top. And that's what it kind of feels like to play with Tiffy time in the game. And so if you're out there and you're low on Tiffy, she's an A tier superstar that can be, I think, have really fun gameplay and play like an SS plus tier, but you have to run her defensively. You have to
Right.
wait for your opponent to shoot off those multis so that they become your multis. And that's what I like about this game. Is like I like tricks like that.
Yeah.
I like being I don't like every match to be Zombailey match. I don't want everything to be 2 click done. Like I like the engagement. So yeah, I would put Tiffany Stratton as best my favorite rework and my favorite Voltron of 2024 because I wanted that moment so bad. I wanted that moment, and people were low on the moment, but I thought, okay, I want to make my Tiffy even better. I want to make my Naomi even better. I want to make my Chelsea Green even better. I'm trying to look in EO Sky. It really does a lot for EO
Hmm.
as well. So it's solid. I mean, you can take old Striker Drew Pyro Gems 200% more damage. I mean, you can do some stuff with that moment. And the moment was kind of hard to get, so I feel like I'm very privileged to have it. Like
I agree.
there's no doubt it took a lot to get, and it was a Black Friday grab for me. that
Yeah.
made not getting Howdy a lot more palatable. So
Yeah. I agree. Let's throw in another random one. What was your so reversals are fairly new to the game. I don't remember if that was
yeah,
this year or end of late last year or whatever. But either way, it's been within the last year of
yeah,
gameplay. So what was your favorite reversal? So some notable ones, right? You've got characters this month who reverse if the character increases their move damage, they reverse them. You've got the ones you mentioned, like where if it's trap gems, like Terry Funk or Zombie Sammy.
right,
You've got multi gems if it's Indy or Tiffy. And now like you've got some where like Roman reverses if you do or Shredder does. One of the two of them reverses
right.
if you do bleed damage, etc., etc. So, what is your favorite reversal type that came in? And don't forget, every single zombie this year had a reversal of subs, so you could break every sub.
It's OTC Roman with the pyro reversal
Oh,
because pyro gems have kind of flooded the market.
yeah,
Like you're gonna see a Ilya Dragunov. You're going to see the same thing with Tiffy. Like I would say, I mean Tiffy's probably my answer for that
yeah,
with the multi steel, but the pyro steel very 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 effective, and I
mm,
like his triple black power gem move set. It's not what everyone is running. I like chipping away. I like throwing the Leonardo plate on him
yeah,
and creating those power gems. And then, if I get a pyro reversal, cool. If not, I cheese out a win with that defensive plate. And
mm,
and I think it's a non-traditional build. Everyone out there. So if you see me in feud and you say, "Oh, OTC Roman," okay, yeah, but then you're like, "Oh no, I didn't expect that from him." So like, I really like that element of surprise. That you
nice.
think you're coming in hot with your Ilya Dragunov, and then you're like,
Oh
"Oh no."
no!
Yeah, yeah. How about
Yeah.
you, Lee, on reversal?
Well, I think the sub reversal is probably. I mean, it's the most boring, but at the same time, knowing that every zombie from 2024 is going to reverse a sub, it created like a almost like a crap about them. Whereas, Terry Funk with trap gems, I often forget that that's the case. In fact, I did it in Showdown yesterday. I used trap gems with Uncle Howdy, and I had the issue where Terry Funk reversed them and blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
just the aura of every single zombie is gonna screw you over if you hit a sub felt very like, oh man, like that whole class of them. It wasn't just one character, but that whole grouping of them had something to shout about. Which leads me to one more special one on there. One thing they did this year that I don't think I've noticed in any other year, and it's had varying results month by month, is that for at least 6 or 7 months, every month there's been a focus on a special gem type. So Canadian month was
Yeah.
Snowfall.
Snowfall. Yep.
The seventh anniversary or eighth anniversary, which Summer of Champions, whatever it was
Yep.
Pyro.
Pyro. Yeah.
Yeah, and then kind of the Bloodline as well. Bloodline was multi gems, and then you had like column break, row break. You had etc. So talk about that. Like, what are your overall feelings, but also your favorite of like the focus points, the
Love it.
trainers, all that.
I love it. And it reminds me of what other games do as they rework things in cycles. So, like,
Okay.
one of my favorite games ever is Magic the Gathering. And Magic always releases things in cycles so that
Okay.
no matter what part of the color pie you play, you're going to benefit from the emphasis of the one thing in that cycle. Meaning,
Okay.
so like um, if you love tricksters, right, and you just are a trickster fiend, you're going to benefit from Jacob Fatu. I mean, not Jacob. You're going to benefit from uh, what's his name? Tangaloa. No, Tamatanga. Gosh,
Tama.
yeah, yeah. You're going to come in hot with Tamatanga and be excited about it. Excited what he can do with move damage or with trap gems or with purples. So, like the color purple was as much a part of the Bloodline month as the special gym type. I don't know if you
Yeah.
noticed that, but like purple gyms were highly supported during
Right.
that month, right? And so yeah, like I think the more strategic the game devs are with doing, focused and focused support in the game, the better the game gets. Because
Right.
especially like what Professor released that funny video of like old Goldberg doing
Right.
column break damage with the heat plate. You're just like,
Right.
what?
Yeah.
What? This should not be. And then you're like, oh, that's really cool though. That's really cool
Yeah.
that like the whole roster gets better with a
Right.
focused emphasis on special gym type.
Yeah, I like that. And you know what you just made, so I realized you kind of combined my best rework and best Voltron. Actually, the best Voltron though, William Regal. Every single time they release something new, William Regal seems to go up. And this year in particular, the biggest with a like bold face typeface by far was when they released Maxine and then later Tamatanga. William Regal was able to then do a extra like where he breaks the whole board, and
Right.
now you like I mean just insane amounts of damage. And then they released the zombies, which increased multiply gym damage, and that was multi gym was the focus of the zombie
Yeah.
month, not Bloodline month.
Yeah.
And then they released these other plates, and so like my goodness, like William Regal, every time you turn around, it's like oh they just made him hit another 100 million harder. Oh they just made him hit another 200 million harder. So ultimate Voltron character, because like if you talk about readiness for our power rating scale, William Regal is almost a 1 on readiness, but damage is it's like off the charts and then some. So anyway, that made me think of that because of Tama, but Tama also and Maxine also made Long Beach Snoop become one of the best acros in the game and then
Right.
some, and that was unexpected. Like so these new trainers, they keep focusing on these gym types, but it makes, like you said, it makes certain characters, Goldberg, Snoop, where all of a sudden you're like, oh, that character, I could use them in a big way again. I don't know that I'm going to use
Yeah.
Powerhouse Goldberg for stuff again, but the fact that I could, it makes it
Right.
super nice.
Well, I think I know nothing about behind the scenes at Champions, but I think the developmental arm of the game is firing on all cylinders, and it's
Nice.
evident in the gameplay and in the roster support. I think they're
Agreed.
killing it. They're releasing these are the best superstars with the best abilities that we've ever seen.
Agreed.
And I'm very optimistic about what's coming in 2025. I have no idea, but it's just like if we keep doing this and get more of the same, it gets better and better. So,
Yeah.
I've got a category for you. Did we outright say best free to play? Was that
No,
a category?
no, we need to do
What was
that.
the best free thing? What was the best free thing in 2024? And I
Ah.
say thing because that could be person, place, or thing, right? It could be a
Whew.
superstar. It could be a
Right.
gear. I'll start it just to get your juices
Okay.
flowing, right? The best free thing was actually two things. It was
Okay.
the Miz and
Oh
the
yeah.
Miz moment
Oh
that
my
came out
gosh.
for
Yes.
free
Yes.
simultaneously. That moment was severely underpriced, and it
Yeah.
is so
Shh.
good and so powerful for what it does, along with the Miz, who was so good and so powerful and widely available. There was
Right.
no reason you could not get the Miz, like
Right.
unless you just didn't open the game for
Right.
that month. So Canada month, I wore the Toronto Blue Jays hat all month. I was the Canadian heel all
Right.
month. I loved it. That was a great month. But the must see superstar Miz defensive technician with the stealing the briefcase moment, it completely made the Miz. I mean, another tier. It up to
Right.
he's an A tier superstar, and that makes him an S tier, if not S plus tier superstar with that moment.
Agreed.
And that moment also revamped Dominator Bobby Lashley. That moment
Yep.
also revamped
Acro J.
I'ma get him, Jay Uso.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly his multis, he's kicking people's heads off. and
Right.
then go back and revisit that moment. Also revitalized along with the rework. Our Truth, the Truth, Acro Our Truth, who everyone is getting this month in the collector contest, infusing
Right.
up to 6 gold through gameplay.
Yep.
So best free thing, just absolutely
Mm.
mind blowing that they
Mm.
made that so available
Right.
for the community. So
Wow.
what you got, Lee? What you got, brother?
Well, you reminded me of it, and I think I'm gonna have to go with Ozzy, Trick
Oh
Ozzy,
yeah.
because one, he's so fun. I mean, Miz, absolutely, and I'm gonna make a point after I say my stuff here, but remind me to circle back on Miz. But Ozzy is fun. I mean, just very fun. And he was, you mentioned it, he kicked off the collection contest. If you remember, the collection contest didn't happen the month after because the content creators and others fought so
Yeah.
hard behind the scenes to
Oh
say
yeah.
what you did with that Aussie event is
Right.
like this has to happen again.
Make
And
it a
since then they've
staple
made it
in the
regular.
MLC. Yeah, we
Yeah,
said that. We advocated for the community and said
right.
this is a staple now.
Right.
It was
It
so good.
doesn't have to be a brand new character like Ozzy was, but like how they did with Rosie. Even though Rosie is still a polished turd that hasn't been polished in the game,
That's
I
Roman's
mean,
brother. How dare you?
oh, sorry. The character in the game, the trickster version. I mean,
Yeah.
even though, like, just the fact that I was like, I would never would have taken him 6 gold on my own, but now I have him 6 gold. And okay, so
Yeah.
circling back
For
to
free,
this,
for nothing, right?
right?
So
For
no
nothing.
loss, no
Yeah,
loss there.
right.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
for free to play characters, I have one more category before we go, but for free to play characters specifically, let's talk about how the game has changed for you. 6 gold loot, right? You at least get to pull one 6 gold character basically every month if you max the MLC. That is game changing for free to play.
Yep.
Ozzy was game changing for free to play. The
Yep.
turtle event with Donatello was game changing for free to
Michael and
play.
Michelangelo as
And
well.
Michelangelo, yeah, I haven't even
Yeah.
mentioned him. That's right.
Mhm.
Shredder, absolutely game changing. So
Yep.
the reality is, if you're free to play, you have this year alone at least 10 characters that even the very top end spenders would still be investing in. Rhea, the Miz. Miz maybe got a little bit overshined later, but the reality is I used him the other day. I haven't used him since I got Ilya. I haven't used him since I got Shredder, so on and so forth. I hit 130 million without trying on Miz, and that's because of the moment mostly. Like, so
Yep.
if you're free to play, you have multiple males and a few females, Kyrie and Rhea in particular,
Yep.
that you got. Plus, you got the collection contest event. So Rowan's rework that we didn't mention. Of course, he got nerfed again, but that's another story.
You know who else you got for free? Is you got this year? You got Oblivion for free. If you
Yeah,
because she just fell out of the sky on that guy.
right.
Remember that?
And
Yeah, and
Terry Funk
Bradshaw,
and
Terry Funk. Yeah,
Bradshaw.
they were just
Yeah.
falling out of the sky this year.
Yeah, I would wager to say this was. I know people say this game isn't friendly to free to play. I hear you, and I don't want to, like, try to talk you out of your hurt, but the reality is, from my perspective, this is the best year free to play has ever had. Period.
No doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
What I'm curious about your last category because I have a category too, but they might be the
Okay,
same
one
thing.
each. All right. Well,
Yeah, tell us what yours is.
mine was you and I as Champions Chat, your favorite thing that's happened with us being Champions Chat. Because we became official
Oh,
last year, so that doesn't
okay.
count.
Yeah,
So,
no, that was different than what I was thinking.
okay, well, then we'll end with
Um,
yours, but let's do this one
okay, so best thing that's happened to us in
as
2024.
Champions Chat. Not like
I
our
would
personal
say,
lives, but
yeah,
in
I
game.
would say the the invention of our power ratings.
Yeah.
The collaboration that we did with some of the top leaderboard feuders in the game, Two Bob and BDC, invaluable contribution to the process. Lee, his attention to detail and his consistency um, and, and his steadiness helped bring that idea, that concept to life, and more than just amusing. And now it's something that even the community manager like mentioned to us, hey,
Yeah.
if we do a year-end stream, we ought to do a power rating or two on it. As like if we
Yeah.
had all the content creators together and each one kind of did their unique thing. And he mentioned that as like our unique thing that we could contribute to the community. And I thought,
Yeah.
that is so cool. That is so cool. And that we've been able to offer something of value to this community that even the people that create the game are saying that's good stuff. That's
Right.
really good. And so that for me, that's like, wow, we're actually helping people. We're
Right.
actually helping them clarify where they should invest their resources in their roster. So for me, that's the gift that keeps on giving.
No, I agree. I think that would that since I can't use that one now, I'll say a different one. But I agree, and the
Yeah,
fact that the community, like wrestles with, argues over like
right,
specific ratings,
right.
like that actually is honoring
Yeah,
because that means people, are so involved in the process. They're like, no, like I think this should be this, and I will say a big shout out to you for creating it, and then BDC, to Bob and the two of us for workshopping it. I think we got it pretty right in terms of like
right,
we haven't had to go back and say well actually we don't think readiness is really what we should have. I
right.
think it should be this. Like the only thing that the community has consistently argued about is entourage being a part of the scoring system.
So,
But
well,
but
here's where they're wrong.
oh
Is every superstar has a shelf life,
yeah
and the entourage ability is what keeps them evergreen.
yeah
And and a great example is Tori Wilson. Okay,
oh
Showboat Tori.
yeah
Very rare, very hard to get. Entourage ability is a 5. And if
ooh
you pulled Tori this weekend, you would be stoked. And you would say,
yeah,
there is high value in this.
even though I'm
High
not going to
value.
use her as a fighter.
Right. You would
Right.
say, this is a high value acquisition.
Hmm.
That's why Entourage matters, because in the moment of the meta, you cannot see its value. And when that moment is past, it's the only thing that retains value. And then
Right.
you go, oh, I get it. I get it. Oh my gosh. Like this is so yeah. So like there's quite a few that you will pull and not be excited to you just they're gonna be max entourage ability and sit on your roster. And then you
Yeah.
go, now I see the value.
Now I
Cat Gunther is another one.
yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, Tech Gunther's a fighter is pain. But I mean, again, I agree. I think that's 100%. And then, for mine, oh gosh, I had it. Oh, so personal. So I would say, since we can't say power ratings, I would say the fact that we got to 3,000 subscribers. I'll say it again since you had to. The fact that we got to 3,000 subscribers this year and record like views. My favorite thing is hearing people, especially I'm gonna sneeze again. Hold. Sorry about that. Is seeing people get their year end reviews from YouTube, from Spotify, from Apple Podcasts, whatever, and showing that their most watched channel on YouTube was Champions Chat. Their most listened to podcast was Champions Chat. Like
What an
the
honor.
level of honor I
What an
feel
honor.
when I see those is just it literally is unspeakable. I literally cannot express
Huge
how much
things.
that means to me and to us and the place that we share in the community. Like
Yeah.
this is something we do in our free time, which Rusty's going through another level of college. I'm working 2 jobs now. At the start of this year, my wife was
Right.
stay at home mom, and I had 1 job. Now my wife has a pretty much full time job. I've got 2 full-time jobs. You've got this. Your wife's going through a huge level of education. Like our free
Yeah.
time is not
Right.
plentiful, right?
Non-existent. Yeah.
Non-existent, and
Yeah. And
yet,
yet we still make time for this, which is
right? We
so what a testimony to the gratitude we feel and the
yeah
appreciation we feel for the
for
community
the community,
that
hundred
that
percent.
we have the privilege of of both advocating for and being just a part of.
Right.
We are still a part of the community, even though we may have a little different platform,
Right.
to
Agreed.
voice our feedback.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, what's your last one? Close us
All
out,
right.
Rusty.
Now this is game related, so it's different. But
Oh.
like the best overall thing, what is the crown jewel of 2024? What is the
Oh.
best overall thing? Mine, the midweek contest prize wall was
Oh.
the
Dang.
crown
Stole it.
jewel, the shining star of 2024. The thing I got the most out of, the thing I got the most excited about, the thing that I consistently, you know, the thing that I would think about, the thing that I would chase, the thing that I would work towards, midweek prize wall,
Yep.
100%, 100%.
Yep. Yep. I would agree. That would have been what I said. I'll just expand slightly and just to say the fact that, again, behind the scenes, content creators don't have a ton of pull, but we can advocate for certain things. And we advocated hard for several months that prize walls, period, in the game were just not rewarding. Like they were
Right.
always a feel bad, or often a feel bad, I should say. And I feel like for the most part that has changed.
Yeah.
They've listened, they've heard, and said, okay, not only are we introducing a midweek month long prize wall, which is phenomenal most months, but also most of the prize walls. My argument and several others in the community alongside me was just like, at least that there be one thing that is accessible on every prize wall that the average player at least goes, well, at least I got that. And for
Yeah.
the most part, that
Yeah.
seems to be the case.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
every skill level, for every level of engagement, let
Right.
there be something that they can, call it a day and say, I'm glad I did that, regardless of
Yeah.
where they were. Yeah. I think that's,
Right.
and so is that your thing? I mean, we can have
Yeah.
the same. I'm
That
totally
is my
fine to
thing. I
share with
prize
you.
walls. Prize walls were my
The same.
favorite rework, favorite thing, favorite. That's what I look forward to every month. In fact, the one I don't even put as much emphasis in my own mental brain space of who's going to be the characters next month. My big
Okay.
emphasis each month and what I get most excited for is who's going to be or what's going to be on the midweek prize wall. What's going to be on the
Oh
month long
yeah.
midweek prize wall. That is my go to. And unfortunately, this month I was really hoping Hogan's Santa gear, not
Right.
Santa Hogan's gear, but Mortal Hogan's Santa flavored gear would be on there. It wasn't, but even still, there are things on there where I'm like, well, okay, that wasn't there, but and I've got Brett's gear, but I can get 6 moments that I don't have. I mean, not all of them, but I can pick from
Yeah.
6 moments I don't have,
Yeah.
etc. There's belts, there's currency, there's so many things on those. So yeah, midweek, month long, and just in general prize walls, big win in
And they
2024.
and they yeah, and so they did a great job of, I think, protecting the element of choice with that. They did a
Right,
great job of there being scalable choices for all
right,
of them. So
yeah,
kudos to you, Team Scopely. Kudos to you, community, for
right,
getting good stuff this year. And I think that's just about all we have, Lee. I think
yeah.
that's
I'm
about
past
all the
time.
time we have. And
Yeah.
so take us out.
Well, it has been an incredible 2024 in the world of WWE Champions and for WWE Champions Chat. So I just want to take a moment to say absolutely thank you to every one of the 3,000 plus people who subscribe to us on YouTube. I want to thank you for every time you share a video, whether it's a 3-minute move set or a WCW weekend contest walkthrough, whatever it is, whenever you like, you subscribe, you share. Like literally, that's not just some gimmick that, oh, we're on YouTube, so we got to say this. Like it really honestly makes a difference in our day and in our what we're doing. And as we mentioned, we do this out of the very limited spare time we have because we so love this game and we so appreciate you as a community. So thank you for being a part of it. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, any Kwanzaa, any other as you celebrate. And if we see you next week for a bonus episode, it'll be a surprise and a fun one. If not, Happy New Year. We'll see you in 2025. Bye.